There is no replacement for displacement. Chevy is certainly subscribing to that theory because this new Corvette model has an all-new 6.7-liter naturally aspirated V8. This marks the return of the historic Grand Sport name to the 8th generation of the Chevy Corvette. Now, in past generations, the Grand Sport has typically been the wider, more aggressive Z06 body with some track goodies paired with the entry-level Corvette's V8. Now, this technically still follows that pattern because the new 6.7-liter V8 found in the Grand Sport is also making its way into the base Corvette Stingray. Today, we're going to get up close with the new Grand Sport and a surprise second model, talk about the new powertrain, take you on a tour of the exterior, the interior, and show you all the details of the new 2027 Corvette Grand Sport. Let's talk about what's back here, the LS6, a new 6th generation of the legendary GM small block V8. They've been building small blocks for like 7 decades at this point. And the LS6 is a 6.7-liter naturally aspirated V8. That's a pretty hefty sized engine. It makes 535 horsepower and 520 pound-feet of torque. It's got lots of improvements compared to the outgoing LT2, higher compression, larger throttle body, high velocity ports, and a tunnel ram intake manifold. They also increased the stroke from the LT2. LT2 was 92 millimeters, is now 100 millimeters, and the torque this thing puts out is going to be beastly. It is more torque across the entire power band. It's actually the most amount of torque from any production naturally aspirated V8 ever. And this thing is making its way into the regular Corvette Stingray, like I mentioned, which means it will be the most powerful standard Corvette V8 ever offered. And they're building it in Flint, Michigan. But wait, there's more, because we have the first ever Grand Sport X. This essentially replaces the E-Ray, which was the first ever electrified and all-wheel drive Corvette. Remember, that paired the Stingray's 6.2-liter LT2 V8 with an electric front motor up front for all-wheel drive. That made 655 horsepower, but now the Grand Sport X borrows the front E-motor from the ZR1X, so that makes 186 horsepower. The E-Rays had 160 horsepower, and then you have the 6.7-liter LS6 out back, which makes even more power. So combined total output will be 721 horsepower for the Grand Sport X, which sounds like a pretty fun combination because the E-Ray was able to do 60 in 2.5 seconds, quarter mile in 10.5, and imagine the extra power is definitely going to be quite a bit of fun in the Grand Sport X. So now there are 2 different model lines under the Grand Sport umbrella, the naturally aspirated V8 rear-wheel drive Grand Sport, and then the hybridized all-wheel drive Grand Sport X. All right, let me take you on a tour of these two, starting off with the exterior design. Visually speaking, they do look very similar to the Z06, the E-Ray, and technically the ZR1 and ZR1X because they have the same wide body treatment compared to the regular Stingray, but there are a couple little details that help it stand out. One of the first things you'll notice is the filled-in panel here on the front bumper. On the Z06, for example, that is open for more airflow, but not on the Grand Sport. Now, in terms of the color combination, this one here is the return of the Admiral Blue finish. It's a very nice dark metallic blue, and we have the Heritage livery pack here with the contrast white stripe going down the middle, across the top here, and then they move the hash marks back here because, well, the engine has relocated from up front to back here. So nice heritage call from the previous Grand Sport looks. You also get the badging right here. That's a look at the Grand Sport logo on the C8, but you get the same extra wide intake here with the big boomerang on the side. These are also unique wheels for the Grand Sport. So that's another thing that helps set it apart from the Z06 and other models here. They're going to be available in a couple different finishes here. So that's a quick look at the Grand Sport wheels. But then out back, you get the same center exit quad exhaust as the ZR1, the Z06, the ZR1X, right? And other news, I'm going to weave in some Stingray news because they gave us some updates there too. The center exit exhaust is becoming an option for the regular Stingray. They're making the performance outboard quad tips standard, right? And now you can option into the center exit exhaust. Now, on one hand, it means a lot of C8s are going to start looking very incredibly similar, right? Because if you, this just drove by without the Heritage livery pack on it, without the stripes and everything, you might be like, is that a Z06 or is that a Grand Sport? They do look rather similar. I'm not complaining because I think they look pretty awesome. Now, the Grand Sport X, visually, again, it's going to be essentially identical other than, obviously, the badging right here that says Grand Sport X. We've got the same wheels. This one also has a different version of the livery package. This looks like it's silver, I think, with the black hash marks. You have the same center exit exhaust out back, but coming up front, just like on the E-Ray, one way you can tell this one has the front E-motor is there's an additional vertical cooler right there in the front grille that you can see on the driver's side. Same filled in black panel there, and you can see the red look here versus the blue. Very patriotic here with red, white, and blue with the red interior here, and then the red with the lighter gray interior with the red seat belts. On the inside, the Grand Sports are obviously going to be 2027 model year car, so it's the new Corvette interior, which means additional screens on either, they've updated the screen in the middle, the screen right there, and then there's an additional screen right here, and then the center console has also been redesigned. They moved the selector down here, your cup holders have been redone, the wireless phone chargers moved there, so the slight updates. RIP to the Great Wall of Corvette buttons. I might be in the minority, but I actually really love the Great Wall of buttons on my Corvette Z06, right? It just makes it really unique. It does create this like wall divider between the driver's side and passenger side, but it was just an interesting, unique design element. You still get that kind of handle, grab handle there, but this is the updated 2026 interior, or then now on the 27 model, obviously. And also it includes the updated PDR, which is really, really cool. Couple other changes there. On the inside, otherwise, the trim and touch points and everything like that are very, very similar. Obviously, the badging is going to be slightly different. And of course, available in both hardtop convertible and regular coupe form, where you can still take the roof off and put it in the rear trunk. We've got this cool banner here showing the heritage and history of the Grand Sport, from the C2 to the C4 to the C6, C7, and now C8. And this white one here has some unique touches because it is the launch edition. It will be available on both the Grand Sport and Grand Sport X. It's a one-year exclusive, and check out the interior. It has a full blue dipped interior with the Santorini blue and some really unique touches. You get the Corvette embossed there on the headrest in red accents, so the stitching, the red seat belt. You get a launch edition plaque there in the middle, an additional red stitching with everything done in blue, including the headliner. So the launch edition will be available for 1 year on the Grand Sport and Grand Sport X. And then right here, these are always really cool to see, the cutaway models where they reveal half of the body. There's the bodywork on this half, the interior, and then this half you get to see under the skin, the mechanicals, of course, the engine back here. I think they've done this for every new Corvette model, all the way up to the ZR1 and ZR1X, but it's really cool because here's the LS6 hiding out back here. Now, I asked one of the engineers, is it heavier than the outgoing LT2? It's a bigger engine. Pretty much no, negligible. It's a couple kilograms heavier. You're not going to notice with the extra power and torque. We've got the dual clutch transmission back here. It's always so cool getting to see under the skin of these models, the half of a car. Quick look at the interior and underneath. Okay, so there's a couple other things to share about the Grand Sport, because you can get this with a track package, which brings the Z06's carbon aero. So the front canards, the bigger wing. I actually think there's one over here we can take a look at. So if you do the track package on the Grand Sport, it essentially matches the Z06 carbon aero. So that's the exact same wing, the canards up front, and you'll get carbon ceramic brakes and Cup 2R tires. So that's kind of been the thing with the Grand Sport. It's a more balanced, well-rounded vehicle where you get the wide body treatment and you can make it more track focused, but it has a more, how do we say, regular engine. Not that the 6.7-liter LS6 is regular by any stretch. It's still a pretty cool all-new small block V8, but compared to the more exotic high-revving flat plane crank LT6 and the Z06, and of course the ZR1s, it's definitely much more reasonable. But that being said, you can turn this into a track monster if you want, with the carbon aero package, with the carbon ceramic brakes and Cup 2R tires. I'm telling you guys, Cup 2R tires are crazy, crazy aggressive. So the Grand Sport can be your fun track toy, or if you go for the Grand Sport X. This kind of follows the E-Ray, where it's the more all-around touring supercar kind of feel, right? You get the all-wheel drive. This one does come with carbon ceramic brakes as standard, just for the weight target. I think that was the reason they gave us for the E-Ray, but slightly different personas between the Grand Sport and Grand Sport X. There's going to be a lot of different option packages as they keep bundling these things, and you can kind of say the Grand Sport is like pulling from the parts bin, right? It's like a Frankenstein combination, but it's also at the same time kind of the best of both worlds, right? You get the look, the wide body treatment, the aggression, the learnings from the Z06, the ZR1, the updated handling, the chassis, all of that kind of stuff, right? With now an all new V8, it's pretty cool, and definitely less cost. They don't have official pricing. They haven't shared it yet, but I heard it's supposed to start under $100,000. Now, once you start checking boxes like the carbon aero and the track package and things like that, obviously it's going to climb, but that serves to be a tremendously good value in the lineup because Z06, I mean, even with discounts or you look for a lower option one, they're in the low $100,000 range. Obviously, ZR1, ZR1X are in a different stratosphere. Those are $250,000 insane 1,000 horsepower cars. The Stingray, it's climbed up in price a bit too, but I mean, if this is close in price to the Stingray and you get the wide body treatment, the same engine, I mean, the Grand Sport's essentially a no-brainer, right? I think these are going to be really, really popular, and it's not supposed to be an ultra-limited type of vehicle. Remember, Z06 was hard to get when it first came out. ZR1, ZR1X are still very, very difficult to get. They're very low production, have some pretty fancy stuff on them, but the Grand Sport's supposed to be a model that you can just get, right? And that's going to be the appeal. I expect to see lots of these out there with a big 6.7-liter LS6, a new family of small block V8s. Now I'm waiting to see, they said family, right? So you would expect this engine to go in some other cars. Imagine that thing with a blower on it, 6.7-liter supercharged V8. And then you have the Grand Sport X, replacing the E-Ray. It seems like they're moving to the X nomenclature as the hybridization all-wheel drive. Other rumors or speculation, will there be a Z06X? That would be like the poor man's 918, naturally aspirated flat plane crank V8 Outback, hybrid all-wheel drive. That could be very interesting because technically now there's a gap in the lineup in the 800-ish horsepower range because we're at 535, we're at 700, Z06 is 670, and then you jump up to 1,064 with the ZR1 and 1,250 with the ZR1X. Could there be like a 800-ish horsepower Z06X? That could be pretty cool. But anyways, back to the Grand Sport and Grand Sport X. That is a focus for today's video, taking on a tour, showing you the exterior, the interior, talking about some of the powertrain details. It's been really cool getting to see these two. I can't wait to drive it because that LS6 and that torque curve. Oh, let me show you the torque curve because over here, we've got an engine on a stand, so you can see a couple other details. The larger throttle body here. So it's a return of the LS6 name and 6.7-liter V8. That's pretty epic. But take a look here. This is a comparison of the LT2, so the outgoing Stingray's engine, versus the LS6 torque and power curves. Red is the LS6. Look how much more torque it makes across the entire lineup, starting at pretty much idle, right? So that is a massive increase in torque, which you will definitely feel, and of course power too. That is pretty badass. This looks like the front E-motor that is in the Grand Sport X, and oh yeah, you can do carbon wheels too. Very, very light, very, very expensive. We've got a couple brake options here, the upgraded carbon ceramic brakes from the Z06, which I like a lot. They're very livable. I haven't noticed any issues with noise or feel even when it's cold out, right? They're a pretty nice set of carbon ceramic brakes available now also on the Grand Sport. So there we go, the new 2027 Grand Sport and Grand Sport X officially here, the return of a historic heritage name to the Corvette lineup, and I am very excited. I cannot wait to drive these because you get the wide body, more aggressive treatment. It sounds like it's gonna have some pretty good track goodies, and that LS6, a 6.7-liter V8, it's gonna be a beast. That torque curve is definitely impressive, and if it starts at under $100,000, that's gonna be a seriously good sports car value. So what do you guys think? Grand Sport or Grand Sport X? Which one would you go for? Thanks for watching.